Manu Sundaram, here is the Congress party, at least in Delhi, suggesting that a wrong precedent has been set. It suggests that the state is soft on terror, and yet both the AIDMK government earlier and the government of MK Stalin now have both supported the release.
Well, as much as I love, anybody driving a wedge between the DMK and the Congress, Mr. Sardesai, let me say, with due respect to my Congress spokesperson and other Congress leaders, I think they're right in attacking the BJP, but a little misguided in what they should be attacking the BJP for. All that they've said so far on this show and elsewhere have been considered in detail by the Supreme Court of this country, no less. And the Supreme Court of this country has passed a very considered judgment after having heard this matter for almost 3.5 to 4 years. And on that basis alone, Perarivalan was released. Now, I don't think you should quickly run to classify the optics of today as celebrations. I think many people saw this as a much needed end, closure to a long drawn out struggle, an unnecessary struggle, as my Congress spokesperson rightly pointed out, largely because of the interference of the BJP governments right from 2015 onwards, where various governors acted as agents of the union and not bound by the aid and advice of the State Council of Ministers. And today's judgment says just that. And let's not, is it
about the Perarivalan specific case, Mr. Manu Sundaram, or is this an element where you believe that Perarivalan, because he was convicted based on an alleged confessional statement which itself fell into controversy, was wrongly convicted? Or are you saying that those involved in the assassination all should have their sentences commuted? Let's be very clear.
Very, very simple answer to that. The judgment today and the case so far does not go into conviction or acquittal. It's not about whether he has done a crime or not. It is purely on whether he should be considered for pardoning. Pardon by nature under Article 161, Mr. Sardesai, you know this, and Senior Advocate Aryama Sundaram knows this better, already means that the person has accepted their crime and they're saying, please pardon me. I've shown reform. I have become a better person. My conduct in prison. Right. Now, very simply, during the trial and until the conviction or acquittal, you look at the crime. But after that, once a person is in prison, you look at the criminal and you say whether that person has reformed. Today's judgment specifically says this person has spent 30 years. He has done so much good. He has learned. He is reformed. Now, if the prison system is not to reform a person and rehabilitate and reintegrate a person back into society, what are we doing in prisons across the country? Can I
just take what you said? No, 1 minute. Can I take what you said? Aryama Sundaram has been listening patiently. Because the fact, Mr. Sundaram, as you heard here from Manu Sundaram, that he is claiming this case should be looked at in terms of the system for a presidential pardon. Do you believe, though, this is a terror case? Now, today it's Perarivalan, tomorrow others in similar situations could claim pardon on the basis that justice has to be reformative and not just punitive. Do you agree with that? Does this set a precedent for others? And is that precedent a positive one or a negative one?
Rajdeep, I'd like to address your question from two aspects. One is the socio-political aspect so far as Tamil Nadu is going, which has a lot to do with the so-called celebrations we are going on, which is where even a Congress ally like the DMK is supporting the release. That is one aspect. The other aspect is the fact that such a person has been, his sentence has been commuted or parole given, however you want to term it. The point of the matter is, the man has spent 31 years in jail. The fact is, it was because of the Congress government's apathy in the matter that after a death sentence was given to these people, when their mercy petition was pending, for more than 10 years their mercy petition was not considered. It sat on the desk of the central government at that time, the Congress party. Nothing was done at all, which is why the Supreme Court, applying Article 21, saying waiting for your mercy petition and being in death row for 10, 12 years is in itself a form of torture, commuted it to life imprisonment. Once commuted to life imprisonment, the issue then arises after spending 31 years in jail. Can the state government, within its powers, if it feels that the person has reformed or otherwise is fit to come back into society, can it be commuted? Can parole be given? Now, here, the state government has the power to recommend. And the governor, under Article 161 is the one vested with the power. But he has to act on the advice of the state cabinet. So the governor actually could not have sent it to the president at all, because otherwise it's nullifying the governor's role under 161. And the central government and the stand being taken that if it's a 302, then it must go only to the president is completely wrong. So therefore, the governor's not acting on it for 3 years when he was advised to do so by the state government and was bound by that advice was clearly unconstitutional. Now, the socio-political aspect, you must understand why even the Congress ally is celebrating like this, is that at that given time, the sympathy of Tamil Nadu, to a very great extent, the sympathy of the state was completely with the Tamils. So far as the Sri Lankan issue was concerned, it was completely with the Tamils. And much of Tamil Nadu felt that the government of India should not involve itself in assisting the Sri Lankan government in dealing with the Tamils, which is why you find that the state governments in Tamil Nadu are, for political reasons, required or forced, let me say, to make such a suggestion of commuting these sentences and letting them off after 31 years.
So therefore this is a political
working
decision.
to their electorate.
So therefore there's a legal aspect and there's a political aspect. The worry, of course, is when the political aspect takes over in cases, sensitive cases like this.
Can I please